Ireland is one of the most expensive European countries to live in. With the housing crisis prominent in a city like Dublin, it is very important for you to manage costs as a student. If you want to get that return over investment out of your degree, the most important variable to optimize here is to bring down your living costs. We are going to do an in-depth discussion on how much does it cost for your transportation, accommodation, food and groceries. We are also going to discuss what modes of transportation should you take as a student and what type of accommodations should be preferred by students. At the end of the video, we are also going to discuss about part-time jobs and how much can they pay you so that you can mitigate these costs for you and it becomes easier on your pocket. So number one is transportation. As a student, you would mostly be traveling by either buses or DARTs. DARTs stand for Dublin Area Rapid Transit, which is a suburban train line which runs along the coast of Dublin. Now in Ireland and mostly in Dublin, they follow a leap card system. A leap card is basically a card which can be used across all public transports. Fortunately, there is a service for students here where you can get a student leap card made and you get a 50% discount on all public transports that you use with the card. Now, as a student, you would bear a cost of approximately 40 to 50 euros having this card with you, and that is your total transportation expense, which is fairly cheap for a city like Dublin. So, when we are speaking of Ireland, we're simply not speaking about Dublin, but also about Galway, Cork, and Limerick. In this video, I'm going to just quote the costs for Dublin, and whenever you hear something, you straight away slash a 15 to 20% from that cost, and that is going to be the cost of the same thing in any other city. Typically, other cities are relatively cheaper from Dublin, but we are going to set Dublin as our benchmark and look at other cities from its perspective. Now, if you're confused with respect to Ireland as a country, how you should approach it, which courses should you choose, how do you bring down these living costs, and what type of courses are best suited for a profile like yours, you can book a 30-minute counseling session with me, a one-on-one guidance session where I will look at your profile and personally guide you how you should proceed. You can check out the link in the description. You can go to the website and book a session directly with me, and we will get on a call and help you with all the problems that you have. Now, let's come to the sector which is most impacted by this housing crisis, and explainably, it is housing accommodation. There are three types of accommodation in Ireland for a student: on campus, off campus, and private rentals. Now, depending on your budget, you can choose whichever you want to. Typically, there is a myth among some students that on campus accommodations charge less than off campus accommodations. That is simply not true. On campus accommodations are just safer to book because nobody can scam you when you are trying to book something on the campus because it's done directly by the campus. Off campus accommodations are sometimes prone to some scam. In terms of the costs, on campus and off campus accommodations are typically going to charge you somewhere between 900 to 1200 euros. There is a catch in this. So depending on your budget, you can try to share your room with somebody else, and that would bring down this cost to simply half of what I quoted. And you can survive within an accommodation cost of 450, 500 euros, or sometimes 600 euros also. Anywhere between 500 euros to up to 1200 euros would be the accommodation cost. If you want to live up to certain standards and you would want a private room for yourself or a private rental, you can also book an apartment or a room simply for yourself, and that comes into the private rental category. This is slightly more expensive than the former two, and this will typically cost you around 1100 to somewhere around 1350 or sometimes even 1400 euros. Now, third and last is your food and grocery cost in Ireland. Now, depending upon your diet, whether it is vegetarian or non-vegetarian, this number could vary from anywhere around 200 euros to 400 euros. So on average, this is typically 300. So let's assume 300 is your total food and grocery cost. So now let's estimate the total cost of living in Ireland. So approximately 50 euros for your transportation, 1100 euros for your accommodation, and another 300 for your food and groceries. So that adds up to 1450 or approximately 1500 euros a month. Or if you want to estimate the yearly cost, that would be 12 times 1500 euros, which is 18,000 euros for an year. And that is your living cost for your Ireland trip of 1 year masters. Now, why then does the visa authority ask you to only maintain 10,000 euros for your living expense in Ireland? Does that mean something? When we are estimating it to be 18,000, why is the official requirement only 10,000? Because they know and they allow you to work part-time in that country. They also understand that the student will be able to recover some of its living costs by doing odd jobs there. So let us now estimate how much can you realistically make as a student in Ireland doing part-time jobs alongside your masters. Typically, a student makes 10 euros an hour in Ireland. That's the realistic estimate. And you're allowed officially to work 20 hours a week. So that means a straight away 200 euros if you can work 20 hours a week if you're dedicated enough. Multiply that with 4, so that makes 800 euros a month. And multiply that with 12, that would make 9,600 euros a year. But that is not a realistic calculation. That is because you will never be able to consistently work 20 hours a week alongside your masters, because your masters is also crammed up in 12 months. The syllabus is going to be covered, the course is going to be covered very, very quickly. So you will need time for yourself also. You can't just be working and studying all the time. Let's assume that you only work let's say 15 hours on average a week, and it also will take you at least 1 or 2 months to find a part-time job. So a realistic calculation would be 150 euros a week, 600 euros a month, and 10 months of your work. That comes to 6,000 euros an year. In Indian rupee terms, you can cover approximately 6.5 lakh rupees back doing part-time in Ireland. Now let's calculate the net living cost. So 18,000 minus 6,500, that gives you 11,500 euros to be your net living cost in Ireland. This is a very realistic number that most of the students go through. If you want us to keep bringing you content like this, giving you ground realities of Ireland, you need to hit that subscribe button down below. We are going to keep bringing you videos like this, and you're going to keep seeing us giving you reality checks for this country in particular. Thank you. Until the next video.